Jeff Spiers, thank you very much for joining Cruise TV. I think it's fair to say that you've played a massive role in the club's success over the past 15 years. And probably as assistant manager, not someone who you ever get to sit down and chat to and acknowledge. I want to begin firstly by going back to your playing days here at the club and talk us through the relegation from the top flight and how that was as a player at Crusaders and some of the noticeable differences to today.
Well, I think I've been here since 2002 now. Alan Dornan signed me. When Alan signed me, he was quite honest when he said, look, this is going to be hard. It's going to be hard work for a few years. So it came the first season and was sort of avoided relegation, but it was a relegation battle every year. And then obviously Alan left and then Stephen came in. And Stephen came in 2005, was it? 2005, and we got relegated at the end of that season. I had never been relegated before and it was very, very tough. And I was actually going to pack football in, so I was. But Stephen actually called to my house the night after Glenavon beat us. And they just said to me, look, you're too good a person, just so I come back. And then obviously the next year we got back up again.
We heard Stephen's story. I heard it over the last few days of him weighing up straight after that game, knocking the door and trying to persuade you to stay on. Probably one more year will do you, Jeff, if you come and help us get back at the top flight. Is that kind of how the story went? I
had sort of went home in a bit of a huff because obviously we've been beaten and been relegated, and it wasn't for talking to anybody. I was actually going to Cyprus the next morning, so I was on holiday, and I heard this bang on the door about 12 o'clock. Looked out the window and Stephen was standing there. So and we just sat down, had a wee chat, and I said, look, I'll think about it when I go away for the week, and then when I come back, obviously I stayed. So
you stayed, got the club back up, and then stayed for another year, is that right, Jeff?
I played the next year when we won the first division, yes, and then I played for a full season in the top flight. I think we came sixth that season. We'd done okay first season back in.
And is it a secret what age you were at that stage?
I was 39, I think then.
Right.
I was 39.
Very good. And obviously then the first job after that was reserve team manager. How'd that come about?
Yes, well, Stephen has sort of said to me during the last season, and it said, look, I think it's maybe time I got you into a bit of coaching or something. Obviously when you're playing, you want to play and you think you're still good enough to play. He sat me down one night, more or less said, look, I think I've got a wee role for you in reserves. Philip Mitchell was manager at the time, and Philip was going on to do something else, so Stephen had asked me to take it, and I jumped at the opportunity. Yeah.
And then obviously the role came as assistant manager a few years after that.
Yeah, I think I'd done 3 years with the reserves, and it was a good schooling for me. You're having to stand up and talk to people, you're taking sessions and things like that, but probably 3 years is probably enough in a reserve team too, so it came at the right time for him.
Obviously, Jeff, just to touch on probably the last 10 years or so, the club have had some amazing success. You know, we talk about the Irish Cup 2009, Santanta Cup 2012, and then obviously going on and winning 3 league titles in the 4 years. And I think probably, you know, with that comes expectations, and the club's probably created their own very high expectations. And then obviously winning becomes a habit, and those memories, how do you look on those memories of the coaching career that you've had and being as assistant manager?
I think when you're in it, you don't really think about it as much like that. It's probably when you maybe pack a game in or something, you're going, look back, we did this and we did that. So I think you just keep going and going and going at the minute until, as I say, until maybe you do pack it in or you do leave, and then you look back and go, flip, that was some time we had there.
I know that you and Stephen have a very close relationship, you know, on the back of wins and losses, and it's probably constant in terms of team selections and even looking to the next year and player recruitment and looking at how you can, I guess, build new teams and create those memories again. What would you kind of pinpoint your own role at the club being now? Obviously assistant manager is probably in the background in some ways in terms of media, where you're probably not out in the open, but I think everybody associated with the club will know that the hard work that you put in. But is there maybe something, a catalyst of what you feel your role would be?
I don't know. I'm an assistant manager and I'm there for Stephen to back him up at all times. I would help him with advice and coaching, or if he asks me on a player, I'll give him advice on a player. But yes, no, I'm not into the media. I think my time as a player, when you pack it in, I think that's for other people. I think that's for the players and the manager to do all that, so I'm not really interested in that, to be fair.
And it's probably, Jeff, a fair assessment that this season to date, we probably haven't reached the heights of the last few years, and in some way it's probably become unknown territory. You know, albeit the season's far from over, there's still plenty of games to be played, and the Irish Cup's gonna appear soon enough. Has it been difficult personally to maybe adapt to that mindset of going out and as I said earlier, winnings became a habit to maybe, I know it was only, you know, it's 4 games and we got a great win on Tuesday evening, but has that been difficult maybe just to...
It's been very, very difficult, it has, because we haven't been in this here before, you know what I mean, like we've been used to just going and going and going, and as you say, this last 10 years we've been competing either for Europe or a trophy or something, and last season obviously we weren't in Europe, but we came third, so we're always fighting, and this year we're a way bit off the pace. So it is hard to take at times, but we just have to find a way around it.
And how's that been over the last few weeks? I know, as I said, getting the win at Portadown was brilliant, probably mentally and for confidence getting into Friday night's game. But how's that been, kind of working together and maintaining? It probably brings you back to the old Crusaders days in some ways of as you said, fighting that relegation, albeit it's not that bad. But
no, that's probably true. Yes, it is. It's tough, and we were getting a result, and then we weren't going out and backing up on our result. And then we were losing again, and then maybe winning again, and it's just a wee bit of consistency, and that's what we're trying to find at the minute. As you say, with a good result on Tuesday night, and we were very unlucky against the Glen, so hopefully we've turned a wee bit of a corner here, and hopefully we'll build on Friday night.
It's obviously the old cliche of taking every game as a time, and nobody wants to hear that, but I guess now more than ever is it just looking to the next game all the time and preparing the team as best you can, and maybe analysing different wee aspects even of the win at Portadown, and looking and seeing, you know, what did we, maybe could we have done better? Yeah,
definitely. Well, the way things are going now, you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, Friday this week, so you're not even really getting much time to reflect on the games. You're just coming in tonight, to say we're playing Tuesday night, you're coming in tonight and you're just seeing who's fit and who's not. We're going to lose a couple of players with injury and suspension, so we're going to just sit down here and see what squad we'll have tomorrow night, so you don't have really much time at the minute.
And just looking lastly just overall in the Irish League as a whole, and probably going back to your playing days, there's obviously a lot's changed. I know probably back then you'd big crowds in, you know, we're not seeing that at the minute with COVID, but what do you make of the league in terms of the last few years compared to even your playing days?
It's very different, obviously, as you say, things have changed. You look at the place when I came here, there was no grass on the pitch. There was no grass there now, right enough, but it was just a brown pitch, there was no grass, and you look at the clubhouse and everything has changed. But that's football, you know, everything's going to change in another 5 years, it'll change again, you know what I mean?
How's players' mentality changed and probably attitudes? And I'll not ask you to pinpoint anybody because it might be a bit unfair, but do you see a difference maybe in compared to when you were playing in that, you know, in that centre half and hard as nails and going winning your duels, to maybe now a wee bit of maybe, you know, prima donnas setting in, or is it just different?
Football's different, and I think younger generation's different as well, you know. As you say, in our day it was a wee bit more physical. Me and Stephen used to play each other, and we used to flip and bang each other every match. That's been taken out of the game now. So I think as football goes, we have to develop as coaches as well, the new circumstances and things like that. And
just lastly, Jeff, going into obviously Ballymena, another tough fixture away from home. It's, as you said, it's on the back of a Tuesday game, so you know you're in tonight, maybe a wee bit of recovery and seeing how all the lads are. But how do you prepare for that game, and how big of a game is it essentially in the grand scheme of things?
Well, the next game's a massive game again, you know what I mean. So, and Ballymena are just above us, so you're trying to catch that team above you every time. If you catch Ballymena, then you want to get the next team and the next team and the next team. So it is very, very important, and they're on a very good run at the moment as well.
How's the body? A lot of football being played over the last few weeks.
Body's a bit sore and achy, but that's part of football. You know, everyone's kind of in the same boat. Everyone's feeling the same. You know, but you'd still rather be playing the games and out training 3-4 times a week. You know what I mean? So it's kind of good in its own way.
Tonight a nice easy one wee recovery session for you then?
Yeah, well I can't see us doing too much now, more just rubs and stretches and just getting the badness out of the legs, and sure the boys that haven't been playing will do a wee bit, you know, just trying to prepare for tomorrow night as best as we can.
And obviously over the last few weeks Mr. Versatile comes to mind. I know Hegarty was forced off early on Tuesday evening and you slotted in the centre half and looked like a Rolls Royce in there. Do you enjoy playing there?
I do, you know, the older I'm getting, it's kind of a wee bit easier, you know, kind of playing there, but you know, still enjoy playing right back. But wherever the manager needs me to play, like all the boys, wherever you're asked to play, you'll just go and you'll do your best, and hopefully it's good enough.
And I think probably just defensively from Tuesday night, BJ, I think that the team were solid. I know that it was probably probably been the story in some ways of the season of having the manager having to chop and change things, and there's suspensions and injuries and knocks and so forth. And you started the game at right back. You played there at the Oval on Saturday, and you popped in the centre half. But you must have been relatively pleased, or very pleased with the defensive shape against Portadown the other night.
Yeah, well, that's been one of the things all year. It's one of the main things in football is consistency, as you all know, and this year we haven't been able to do it. That's with our results and team selection. There's been a lot of injuries. It's been a strange year and a bit, whatever it's been here since the whole COVID thing. So there's been a lot of things changing within the team, and it's not really a good thing. You always kind of want the same starting 11 kind of playing week in, week out, a spicy or back four, which we really haven't got to do the last year or two. But you're saying it just seems at the minute that every mistake we make is being punished, which is it's killing us a wee bit. But all we can do is dig in and just keep plugging away, and hopefully it starts to turn now.
Is that I suppose in some ways it's unusual for you, BJ? I know you're a serial winner. You came from Linfield winning multiple trophies. You've came to Crusaders and we've been really successful over the past few years. In some ways it's been maybe difficult mentally just to adapt to that and trying to get out of it.
Yeah, it's something that's completely new to me. I've been quite fortunate that my career in the Irish League I've always been in a team that wins more often, but this year it's been very strange for myself, and it's new to me, so I'm still trying to deal with this as well with the other boys. But as I just says, all we can do is just keep working hard. Every time we are in training, I don't think anyone can blame effort or anything like that. It just seems to be when you're down. It keeps kicking you when you're down there. So it's up to ourselves just to dig ourselves back out of it.
Yeah, I think it's probably just from the outside looking in, it's just we need the rub of the green, and we need probably over the years those maybe errors or part of football, things happen, mistakes happen. Nobody's playing at the highest level every single time they go out onto the pitch. So I guess it's just about getting the rub of the green and maybe creating our own luck. And
no, well, that's it. We've seen it now for a load of weeks. We've conceded a few last minute goals. It's killed us off a wee bit, and just individual mistakes are really costing us at the minute. And previous years we could get away with mistakes because we were scoring lots of goals, and that could pull us out of holes. But this year it's we're struggling a wee bit to score the goals and keep them out of our own net. But as I says, we just have to stick it. We're all in at the Gar, and that's what we need to do. Just stay at the Gar, and hopefully it starts to change.
Obviously, a lot of people in the football world, in the Irish League world, BJ will be looking at it, and we see some of the stuff in other clubs, and people associated with clubs are looking at it and thinking Crusaders aren't doing very well, and they're looking at the league table, which is still very soon to do it. There's only a small number of points separating the whole top 8. As a player, how do you adapt to that, and how do you kind of just ensure that mentally you're switched on and preparing right for the next game?
It is difficult, because saying the Irish League's quite small, everyone knows everyone, and you do kind of hear what everyone's saying, but saying you just have to keep your head down and try and blanket all as much as you can. And saying, as you said there, everyone's in the same boat, because even from 3rd to 8th, there's not that much points between us all, and if you can put in a wee run of maybe 3, 4, 5 wins, you'll find yourself back up the table. So that's why we can't get too down about it, because we know in the matter of 3 weeks we could be right back up there again.
Just looking forward to tomorrow night's game, BJ. I know it's a silly question in some ways, but how big of a game is that on the back of a good win, and now on the road again? I know it's been a while since we've been at Seaview, but back on the road again.
Well, that's what I'm just saying there about consistency. We've won one game the other night against Portadown. You need to go and win the next game and the next game and the next game. So tomorrow night's massive, and Ballymena, to be fair, them are flying at the minute as well. I think they haven't got beat in their last 10 games, whatever it is. So it's going to be far from an easy game, and at the end of the day, every team we're playing against is equally as tough. So we just have to give it a go and see what happens.